I want to bring everyone's attention to an important issue this morning. It is not in the holiday spirit, but it is in terms of caring about others. But this is a little bit of a complicated and difficult issue. Last year, right about this time of the year, I published an investigative report about the role of credit cards and banks involved in helping finance mass shootings. In my reporting at that time, I looked at every mass shooting in America since Virginia Tech and discovered that credit cards were a crucial part of the planning of these massacres. Now, a consumer advocacy group, SumOfUs, has launched a campaign that calls on credit card companies, specifically including Visa, to report excessive gun and ammunition purchases to law enforcement. They've begun an extensive campaign, and we want to show you a piece of it, but we do also want to warn you it is hard to watch. And in a statement to CNBC, Visa's spokesperson said, quote, Visa has joined the business roundtable in calling on Congress and the administration to come together to enact practical, common sense measures to help end the epidemic of mass murders in America while preserving the constitutional rights of gun owners. The credit card company adding, quote, we do not have an item level view of consumer purchases, and as a result, we cannot track or flag purchases of guns or any other product sold. It is an important point, but it is the point that I should tell you some legislation that has been proposed in Congress since that report, effectively saying that Visa and MasterCard and the other credit card companies on guns and gun-related items should mandate that they get item-by-item information so that they could actually track this, so that when you do have these erratic purchases, and in a majority of the instances of these mass shootings, there are clearly erratic buying patterns. It's not typically as simple as people think. You can actually, typically the first thing that happens after a mass shooting is they go and they get the credit card receipts. And when you look at them and you lay them out at a table, it becomes, I don't want to say obvious, but there are patterns, and using machine learning and artificial intelligence, there are clearly people now in government, especially inside the FBI and others, who think that this could be a very effective way of tracking and trying to avoid these things in advance.
Well, you've been all over this issue, and I remember talking to you about a year ago when it was still kind of in formation in your brain. It's counterintuitive to the viewers, but indeed Visa and MasterCard do not have that consumer line item level data. The issuing banks do.
The issuing banks don't. The issuing banks don't. That's what's so fascinating about this issue. So who does? Then the retailer itself? The only people who have the information is the retailer themselves. Okay. And the problem with the system is that, and what happens actually in a lot of these instances is you'll go from one store, you'll buy 2 guns at one store, a 3rd gun here, you'll buy your body armor over here, and you'll go to a website and buy 1,200 rounds of ammunition here.
And so you'll do that. With that is imposing any kind of regulations on the retailers wouldn't address
none of the regulations that are on the books today can. There's nothing that allows effectively right now law enforcement to see any of that. And the only people who ostensibly even have a shot at that, ostensibly, would be the credit card companies and Visa and MasterCard, if they so chose to.
But now, they would have to mandate that every retailer in the US and the world
for those types of products have to do that. And by the way, this is not completely without precedent. So right now, you should know that there are what are called SARS reports, suspicious activity reports, that are filed every single day by banks,
right?
Simply for basic,
money laundering and
simply for basic money that's being moved.
Yeah.
And so the question is whether look, there's a political question. There are some people who would say, I want this all protected. I don't want anybody to know what I'm buying. I believe that this is part of, some people believe this is part of their Second Amendment right. So, look, this is not a straightforward, straight line situation, but I think that I believe that if you mandated this, it would protect people's Second Amendment rights, but at the same time, potentially allow law enforcement to get ahead of these things to the extent they can.